Dr. Basalira. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure for me to welcome you to this session this morning. And I'm also very excited that we have a very interesting topic, which we are going to be talking about today. And I just want to remind all of us that we run our businesses in a very, very dynamic environment. Things keep changing. We have new challenges, new opportunities show up. And it is therefore important that at every other time, as a business person, you're able to capitalize or exploit the new opportunities that come up. One of the opportunities that have been with us, by the way, is tendering. And this morning, our topic is on how we grow our businesses through tendering. And for many people, tendering may appear like a complex process. Sometimes actually, some people may not actually have a lot of information about it. Yet every day you get a newspaper, you go to the internet. There is an opportunity somewhere for you to tender for a job. So Professor Ernest Abaho is going to be sharing with us a lot more about the tendering process. How do we identify such opportunities, and how do we go about, exploiting such opportunities, knowing that in each business that we run, there is an opportunity for you to provide goods and services, and that's what tendering is all about: giving you the opportunity, contracting you to provide goods and services, and then getting some money out of that, and in the end, growing your business. And who is Professor Abaho, our speaker this morning? Professor Abaho is he is a professor of entrepreneurship in the Department of Entrepreneurship and Innovation at Makerere University Business School. He holds a bachelor's degree in entrepreneurship and small business management, a master's degree in business administration with a major in project management. He holds a postgraduate diploma in microfinance management, all from Makerere University, and a PhD in entrepreneurship from the University of Dar es Salaam. Professor Baho is a scholar of entrepreneurship, has published widely in the area of entrepreneurship. He also has hands-on supporting entrepreneurs and also mentoring entrepreneurs. Professor Baho, you're very welcome. We know that you have hands-on experience in tendering, which you have done very successfully. We welcome you to make your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the kind introduction, and good morning to everyone wherever you are. If you are in the US, good evening. I last talked on this platform in June, I think it was on 6, 2024. So it seems I come as Christmas. It's a cycle after a year. So I want to thank the Entrepreneurship, Innovation and Incubation Centre for this, what I may call a privilege, to share my little experience, but also to talk about something that is highly criticized in the scholarly circles of business entrepreneurship. When you read about tendering, it's one of the most negatively publicized business practices. In any of the publications that you'll get, I've not seen anyone who speaks well about tendering, because they present it in the perspective of the mischiefs of business practices, especially in fraud and corruption. But that is a terrible myth, and it kind of keeps us away from taking opportunities that are related to that business practice. I have started with that because I know people will claim to have personal yet uninformed reservations about this business practice. Since it is a business practice that most of us have heard about for a long time, and I think it is one of the most regulated practices in Uganda and world over through procurement. I'll be brief because I'll be sharing about my own observations and experiences, because I've practiced this since 2017. So those 8 years, I've seen enough, especially as a scholar, but also as a tenderpreneur in that respect. So tenderpreneurship, I had to break it down as a business that is practiced through tenders. And a business practiced through tenders, we have to look at it as a conceptual perspective. I am an academician, so I cannot run away from giving chance to a conceptual view of what I'm talking about, but I also talk about it as a business practice. Of course, from the scholarly perspective, it's where external services and supplies are procured from a third party. This can be an individual, can be a company, and I have seen on this platform some of the tenderpreneurs, those who have done business through tendering, through procurement. I have seen some of the people that I know, so I know I'm not speaking to myself, but rather to people that understand this in real life. But also its nature, it is short term, because these contracts are usually not so for so long. You'll find those that are on a framework arrangement. Framework arrangement means they span beyond one contract engagement. And in Uganda, most of the framework contracts tend to run between 2 to 3 years. So that is also short term, because from the business perspective, where we say business is an ongoing engagement, which we call going concern in accounting, here there is no going concern in tendering. Then, of course, the opportunities are acquired legally. That's why they are contracted. And in Uganda, we have a law that supports tenderpreneurship, the Public Procurement and Disposal Act, which is practiced. And when you look at the budget, the one they are reading today, you'll find a lot of budget allocated to tenderpreneurship, to tenders, but in a way that you must understand that it is a business opportunity. Of course, the public looks at it as expenditure, but the business sector looks at it as an opportunity to supply, to offer services, both individually and also at a business entity level. So marketing in tenderpreneurship, in tendering as a business practice, sometimes goes beyond the ordinary, and it is based on personal networks, intellectual resourcefulness, and where you'll find most of the people against this practice, they will use words like political influence, but that may not necessarily work everywhere and true. When you look at, for example, this express penalty, the one that the minister suspended last night, it is largely connected to political connections. So you have to understand the dynamics involved. Sometimes when you are affiliated with larger companies and you come in as a subcontractor, that is tendering. So from the practical perspective, it can be an outsourced service or supply. It can be a partnership, even at government level, where there is a public-private partnership that is tendering, because it is a procured engagement, but it can be a subcontract. And you'll find it happening a lot, because when we now we have an environment where there is business process outsourcing. I know the Entrepreneurship Centre was very active in the Uganda business process outsourcing policy, And these are interventions that strengthen tendering as a business practice. And of course, it can be joint venturing, where you find small unable companies. They have limited capacity, but when they come together, they combine and make the desired capacity to the client, and they submit a bid. That is tendering. It's a business practice. So it addresses the challenges of smallness. So sometimes you can use your personal and political networks to access these business opportunities for tenders, but these qualifications of personal and political networks must be supported by technical capacity. That is from the practical perspective. So I saw, for example, for the last 2 days, people were saying that the airlines are not interested in politics. They don't practice politics. And it could be that we take politics to be only on talking about constitution and democracy, but everyone in the country practices political engagement. It's just that it comes in different shapes. So for the tenderpreneurs, people who do business through bidding and tendering, they tend to practice politics in a different way that is not necessarily visible, that is not on the outcry of human rights and constitutional interests, but rather economic interests. So the logic behind tendering is that the client or the potential client advertises a job, and then you submit a bid, which is a synonym of tender. When you do that, then there are usually provisions for technical and financial proposals for almost all sectors. And then they evaluate and they award, they give you the business, which is a job, because it is sometimes short term, and it can be in a service, it can be in supplies, it can be in logistical services or any other intellectual professional services. When you are given a contract, you execute it, and when you execute it, as soon as you get it, tendering is like athletics. As soon as you get this contract, your mind goes through for another contract. So in essence, when you step on the finish line, you get into a new race of another job. So the tendering business practice requires all full-time marketing for the next project. Currently, it is regarded as the most lucrative practice, but there are so many things that I'll tell you that happen. So in tenders, sectors in Uganda, I think I've seen the NGO sector, the one they sometimes call the private not-for-profit. They have a lot of tenders because they tend to be efficient on human resources and capacity, because these NGOs tend to have short-term projects, because they are also tenderpreneurs, only that they are in social support systems. So because they don't want to procure a lot of capacity, which will be difficult to dispose, they tend to tender out some of the processes. But also on the HR perspective, they tend to have high wage bills because they tend to pay much higher wages and salaries. So they don't want to hold a lot of human resources that can be redundant, since they are usually on activity-based programming. Of course, government agencies have, in Uganda, every agency has a tender opportunity. You just have to know what they do, and the tender opportunity is there. I've seen it is everywhere, all the ministries, all the government agencies and departments in local government, it's there. And then, of course, foreign state agencies, the embassies have a lot of tender opportunities, even through their diplomatic projects, because you'll find that almost the majority of the embassies here have a subsidiary outlet for projects, local projects, When you look at the US Embassy, it has USAID. USAID has German Embassy has GIZ. Danish Embassy has Dan Church Aid and so many other Danish agencies that are here. Canada has MasterCard Foundation and so many others. So they have all these, and you just need to understand their priority areas and how to engage in the tender opportunities. We have private corporations. For example, the oil and gas sector has a ring-fenced opportunity for local tenders. You must also satisfy the requirements for local content. So you just need to know how to get in there. So it's a good sector. What it takes is you have to avoid the noise of getting into the politics of democracy, and you get into the politics of economics. It's what happens everywhere in the world. So every sector has a tender opportunity, because when you come to MUBS, you can get a tender opportunity, but you must know MUBS strategic plan, you must know the procurement frameworks, you must know what is needed during which period. You'll find it. Churches have tender opportunities. The Catholics, the Protestants, the Muslim medical bureaus have opportunities. Caritas has opportunities. Interreligious Council of Uganda has opportunities. So everywhere we are surrounded by tender opportunities, we need to open our minds so that we also do it, because it's the best practice for institutional client entrepreneurship. So to succeed in the tendering business practice, you must be ready to comply. There are administrative compliances that are a must, and I'll start with the Uganda Revenue Authority. You must be in the good books of URA at all times, because this tender opportunity requires tax clearance. Every time you do it, it's almost 100% a requirement everywhere. You must have a TIN. You must be doing your monthly and annual returns. You must make sure that you understand tax implications. Where there is a tax waiver, you must know which sector, which agencies, which services are not taxable, the services that are taxable, the type of, because I know the Public Procurement and Disposal Act is making provisions for women entrepreneurs. You must know your rights. You must know if you're a person with disability, if you're a youth, what are the tax benefits that you have if you're in that category. You must know, for example, that education services, IT services have some tax benefits. You must know World Bank. If it is a project funded by World Bank, there are some tax benefits. So you need information. That's why you must be active in information search. After all, it is one of the key attributes of good entrepreneurs. Information seeking behaviors must be very high. So you must also comply with the Uganda Registration Services Bureau. You must get powers of attorney, and you must know how they look and what to get, where to get them. Beneficial ownership form. You must have a certificate of incorporation. All these are very important areas of compliance, because without them, then tendering as a business practice is not easy without these. So you must make sure you have them all the time. And usually it's better you keep a soft copy, because some tenders, when you're applying for a tender, I'm using the word tender so that it is very well understood. I don't want to use bids, the terminology of procurement. You must know what, you must read the requirements. Eligibility is very critical. You must have a bank account, and your bank must be aware of your business. It must be a legitimate business. It must not be illegal. So you must manage the trust, because sometimes some tender opportunities require a bank letter. So you must have a good relationship with your bank. of course, you must have very good compliance with your local government. I think since I'm speaking majority to Kampala, Nairobi, major cities, you must make sure that your trade license is up to date. And of course, if you're looking for opportunities in government, you must have also the license. It is renewable every year. I think they pay 50,000 from the PPDA. You need that. And now we have the EGP. You must open an account on e-government procurement portal. All those are opportunities because sometimes they write to you direct. You must have an active email and active phone number. You must have, for URSB, you also need a box number, box office number. The good thing now, you can have digital numbers, relatively costly because I see they pay 360,000 for renewal, but it is worth it because it's sometimes difficult for some of the organizations to give you business when you don't have an address, a box address. It is still working, especially with the digitization. Another key success factor is a strong professional ecosystem where you need experts. Tendering, even if it is supplies, it is expert driven. You need a critical network of experts in all sectors because tendering is a moving smart sector opportunity. You can't say that for you will supply organizations that are only in livelihood. Tomorrow they may be in something else, but they need your services. So you must have a very good connection. You must be a strong, well-networked professional person, but also in video networks. But you must have a reputation of trust and dependability. They say your contacts are your contracts. That one, it's a no-play zone. You must do that. If you don't do that, then without contacts, you can't get contracts. Without contacts, you can't get contracts. You get contracts through your contacts. It's not corruption. Call it what you want to call it, but networking is a business resource. Without your contacts, you can't get contracts. Of course, the other one is integrity. You need to build a trust and performance track record. Trust and performance track record, usually when you are going to get a tender, you want to get references. Sometimes they do backdoor assessments to see whether actually what you claim to be is what you are in terms of behavior and conduct. But you also know that character is even applicable. Character assessment is applicable in looking for jobs, the ordinary jobs, in looking for political positions, everything. Character is an important infrastructure that we usually take for granted, but it is very critical. Some of the challenges that I have seen and you should expect if you have not experienced them. One, it is not easy to maintain professionals for full-time employment. And these professionals, sometimes you find you're competing to have them with other people. So it's a challenge, but also being that tenders are short-term in nature, you always be undergoing stress of the next project after this project. Of course, being that it relies also on how linked you are to the networks, the opportunities. You need to know agencies, you need to know the users, you need to know procurement people, you need to be informed about what is happening, what are the work frames, how do you get information. So usually it is affected by its person holder. You have to be there. It is difficult to delegate some of the opportunities. So because of that high level of involvement, it is draining. That's why you see most consultants are usually busy, very difficult to get hold of. So when you get a consultant and he gives you his hour, you have to treasure it because they have foregone an opportunity to listen to you. So sometimes competition is high, very high indeed, and it is big money, big competition. When you lose that, then it is stressful. And of course, the cost of networking is very high. In Kiswahili, there is a saying, that urafiki ni kazi. Friendship is a job. And being a job, it means that it is very demanding. So you have to commit. The costs are high, it requires time. You have to be on the look for all the member in clubs, social clubs. You have to participate in corporate events. You have to be seen, to be available, to be accessible. Those are some of the challenges. So with that nature of business practice, there are some skills that you need to develop if you want to benefit from that business practice. You have to learn how to network. You have to learn. You have to learn. I've told you networking is a job on its own. It is costly. It takes money. It takes time. It takes your mind. You have to learn how to write. You have to learn how to report, because that is the key area of audit in tenders is value for money. When they are doing an and value analysis on your supply, on your service, they must see value in it. Because I've seen most of the academic and policy challenges of tendering, they say that the organizations and individuals in these organizations use it to steal money and to do shoddy work. It's not true that it's that, but sometimes people who write have had a very terrible experience with tendering, and they tend to mix their feelings with the realities. But sometimes organizations tender out because they want much more perfect work. You must learn to negotiate. Poor negotiation can be very costly, because a single word misused can cost you $1 million just by accepting what you should have rejected. Just that, it can cost you a lot of money. So you have to learn the art of negotiation. You must understand culture, especially that tendering, you're dealing with people who are exposed, experienced, and they want to protect the economic interests of their organizations. And it is even a standard operating procedure that before an award negotiation must be made, even when your price is the lowest and far below their budget, they are required to negotiate. So you must understand those cultural issues. When you are negotiating with the European, it's different from when you are negotiating with Chinese, because Chinese, even if you give them the best price, they will always say that you are cheating them. And Europeans, when you ask for less than what they budgeted, they will tell you the truth. They say, we had this budget. Americans are different. Caribbeans are different. Latin are different. Indians are different. So you must understand all those cultural issues, because even in building a relationship with them, you have to understand the do's and don'ts. So those are very, very important skills. And you must understand that Uganda has increased in terms of cross-cultural diversity. Companies like Total, they have 47 nationalities today. Now, juggling through those 47 nationalities in tendering, you must understand how they think, how they behave, and what they consider to award. So as I wind up, I want us to make reflections. We are small business people, majority of us, okay? But there are provisions for every business at any level. And the law now has accommodated that. We have the local content, the PPDA has provisions for thresholds of supplies. So even the smallest business can participate into a tender. So I want us to demystify that thinking that tendering is for business that are big, that are networked. It's not true. So one, you need to know the sectors that what you are doing can be procured. And then when you do that, you go and look at the requirements, what you need in order to get the opportunities there. You need to visit their websites. You need to walk in and ask. You need to know their work plans. You need to know their targeted suppliers, because they categorize them. For example, when you look at the oil and gas sector, they have categories of suppliers, levels of suppliers, so you can keep upgrading. But even the smallest informal supplier can supply in the oil and gas sector, because those thresholds have been provided to support the small businesses, but also the big businesses. But even the small businesses can combine into a joint venture for that tender, and they bid as a joint venture. But also you work towards complying with the pre-qualification, because always you have to be pre-qualified, and unlike some rare circumstances. And then, of course, you look at the provisions that favor you within that procurement framework. Is it because you are a woman? Is it because you are a youth? Is it because you are a person with disability? Is it because there are now upcoming opportunities for retirees? Is it targeting the retirees? When you know that, then you will work towards taking advantage of the circumstances that suit you. And then, of course, you have to know how to bid. Bidding is a skill that you must learn. And if you feel you are not ready, get someone, pay that person, they do the bid for you, then you submit. You must understand that bidding is not just presenting your product. No, there are some specific requirements. And then you get into building networks with organizations that you are interested in supplying today or in future. But I want to end with talking about the false accusations against tenderpreneurship, against tendering as a business practice. Most people think that it is not based on merit, and when they go there, they get their hands burnt. You offend the people that you have been accusing that they are not on merit. And getting a business through a network, the network is the merit, because it is also most training to build that network, to build confidence, and they give you the job. Okay, so it is on merit, but you must know what merit means and how to maximize it. Most people think that tenders do not need capital. When you go to banks and all these financial service providers, tendering is one of the most lucrative credit product. You need capital, and its capital is instant. You need it. And then, of course, they say that suppliers are predetermined. That goes to the first point I mentioned. It's also not true. I thought so, but until when I started getting there, competition can be real and intense. I have seen, I think, the former Undersecretary of Ministry of Finance. There is a time we did some work there, and the procurement process was so intense, so intense. When we got the job, she told us I could not favor anyone because I did not want to favor anyone. And she gave us the job. She had never seen us. So it's not true. And I think one of the people whom she did not give the job is someone who came thinking that because he knew her, he would get the job, but it didn't work. So we just have to trust the system. We do what we should, and we do the exact requirements. We submit them, we meet the standards, and the competition comes in. We have been saying that Chinese are getting businesses here. Chinese understand procurement, they understand tendering, they understand bidding, they comply, and they know which areas to focus on, because this is an evaluated submission. But for us here, we tend to focus on the technical capabilities without also knowing the nitty-gritties of bid evaluation. So we need to understand that maybe the center, since it is supporting GROW, this generating growth opportunities for women, we need also to put an area of training for tendering so that we build local capacity for our entrepreneurs to understand how to participate in bidding, because it's also one of the ways of internationalizing and building capacity. And of course, most people think that it is the profitability is so high. No, it is not so high. It's just that it is short term, and when someone closes a project, they get the payment in lump sum, and it looks as if it is much, but someone would have put in a lot of money. So I think that's what I really wanted to share with you. I was mentioned, my name is Ernest Abaho, and I'm glad that I was given this opportunity to share with you the little that I know, and I thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Ernest Abaho, for sparing your time in your business schedule to come and talk to us and our entrepreneurs who are logged on here on this very important topic, an area that has become so exciting, an area of how to grow your business through tenders. Thank you for sharing your practices, your experience in this area, because you've been there and you've been successful. You've taken us through what tendering is, how to grow your business. You've told us what it is. It is a really business which is practiced through tenders. It looks at external services and supplies which are procured from a third party. You've given us its characteristics that usually it is short-term contract. It is contracts which are got through competitive bidding. It is a blend of personal networks and intellectual resourcefulness. You've taken us through the logic, the process, how it is done. Usually it is done through advertising, then you submit proposals and these are evaluated, and then you are the likely areas where this is commonly done, like in government agencies and departments, private and not for profit, foreign state agencies. The process of how to proceed to succeed if you are to succeed in this area of dealing in tenders. You have to be ready to comply. You have to have a strong professional ecosystem. I like what you said, that your contacts become your contracts. You also emphasize the issue of integrity. I know people who are logged on here would be interested in asking more questions and maybe interacting further with you. I don't want to waste any more time, but to allow some questions to be raised or comments to be made. But thank you for the exposure that you've given us as you took us through the challenges and skills that are required in this business. I would like to invite Mr. Joseph Caesar Ojok to take us through the Q&A session. Mr. Ojok, please.
Yes, Doctor. Thank you. Thank you, Doctor, for the
Caesar?
Yes, hope you can
Kindly
hear
handle
me.
the Q&A session.
Hope you can hear me, Doctor.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. Thank you, thank you. Yes, allow me to start by appreciating our presenter of the day, that is Professor Ernest Abaho, for the wonderful insights shared on this wonderful topic of entrepreneurship. And personally, I must say, I've been glad to be a part of this session, and I've learned something quite very interesting today. And I believe our listeners today also have been able to grab one or two things that can be able to apply to their businesses. So right about now, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be interacting with our presenter, probably on certain things that maybe you would like to inquire or have any supplements or maybe any additions or some things that you want to inquire from him. So we have three channels of doing this. We have the Q&A section where you can post your question right there. And then also you can raise up your electronic hand, and I will give you a chance to maybe unmute and interact or ask your question to our presenter straight. Then also you can utilize the chat by posting probably your question right there, and we'll be able to give the presenter the opportunity to respond to them. So feel free But meanwhile, as I wait for the questions to come through, allow me say or let Prof know that so many appreciations are coming through in the chat for the wonderful presentation. That means probably they've really enjoyed listening to you. So I think let me start with this one from Scale Africa Uganda. As a small business, which at least first require, okay, I think the question is not so clear. I think there's some parts that are missing. I'm seeing, yes, let me give a chance to, this is Kateriga. Please, you have the permission to unmute yourself and ask your question. Ola, please go ahead. Kateriga, you have the permission to speak.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
I wanted to ask a question. There is a new trend that I'm seeing in this government where Parliament is releasing money for Lubowa Hospital. The same thing is happening at Atiak Sugar Factory, where we have an investor who has invested nothing, but a lot of input is given in by the government of Uganda. How would we call that kind of procurement or tendering strategy? How would we call that? Thank you so much, Professor.
Okay. Yes, I believe he's going to respond to that. Okay, I think, Prof, you can start with that as we wait for the rest to come through. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. One, I don't usually get into national controversies because I'm not a politician. I'm not into reservations to comment on something that is in a national controversy. So I'm sorry I may not take that line, but I'll comment about it from the business and technical perspective. Some tenders can have a performance challenge, and sometimes it is driven by factors that are confidentially invisible, and the public tends to pick an interpretation that favors their view. So I really request that I don't get into that because I don't know how it happened and what is happening in any case. We may be thinking that there is nothing being done, but it is being done. And the performance areas are being achieved. And I really feel comfortable in terms of, and on the you don't think responses. I think yeah, is made in a network.
Prof, I think we're losing you. I think we're losing you.
Yeah, or if you have a problem, you actually there go by us. And because that took, I have been contacted in business.
Prof, I think we're losing you.
I think the response to Katerega is
we have lost our presenter. I think his network is a bit unstable, but I believe he's going to get back soon. Meanwhile, as we wait for him to get back, we can be raising our questions for those of us who have. Yes, for those of us. Feel free to raise up your electronic hand or post your question in the chat. Prof, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can know. Can you hear me?
Yes, please. We can hear you now.
About national controversies, so I may not really respond to that question.
Okay. Thank you. So let me start with this from Waswa Paul. I think this may have to go to our dear host. I think I will talk about that later. But from Skill Africa, Uganda was asking, as a small business, which are the first 3 requirements you need? That is from Skill Africa, Uganda. As a small business, which are the first 3 requirements that you need as a small business? I think that is how the question should have been framed. It's not really like that, but I want to imagine that was what the person was trying to mean. And then this is from the Q&A, is William asking, as you are aware, small firms need to build capacity and experience in order to meet the required bidding standards. Some companies enter into joint partnerships. What are the strengths and weaknesses of a minor partner joining a joint venture? Let me pardon that again. As you are aware, small firms need to build capacity and experience in order to meet the required bidding standards. Some companies enter into joint partnerships. The question is, what are the strengths and weaknesses of a minor partner joining a joint venture? Prof, I think you can respond to those as we wait for others to come. Thank you.
Okay, I think the key requirements are, one is you need a certificate of incorporation, you need a bank account, you need the powers of attorney. Those are very key, but there are not only 3. You need a business bank account, you need the when you have those, usually those are the minimum requirements, especially for the small businesses. They don't ask for too much. As long as you are registered, you have powers of attorney to execute, to sign the contracts, you have a bank account and a tax identification number. Those are primary requirements, if I have to answer the question in that straight way. Then the benefit of, joining a joint venture when you are small with large, big people, the benefits are you use that contract to access larger contracts in future. 2, you access the network of the larger company, especially when they are not selfish and exploiting you. 3, it's also possible to get an unusually larger transaction on your bank record, which is very good for your bank statement. That is among those many, but lastly, there is a lot of learning that you acquire. I remember my first joint venture, I learned a lot. I was working with a big partner, and there are so many things I did not know. But after that execution of the contract, there is a lot that we came out with as learnings. The challenge is sometimes you may have weak negotiation position. I remember we had a challenge of who will manage the finances of this contract, and because they are big, they had foreign currency accounts, they had foreign accounts, so they had an advantage. But also, when you are not aggressive, they will speak as if you are them, not part of them. They will not introduce you as part of the partners. So you have to be very careful, especially the foreign companies that want to use you as a local content. Local content means that you have presence of a local entrepreneur. And sometimes when you come in that, they eliminate you from all the powers of attorney in all the transactions, so you'll not benefit. That's why we need a lot of capacity building in building entrepreneurial self-efficacy for the local Ugandans, because we have to strengthen our capacities. Another challenge is if you are not careful, you may end up not getting on the record of this transaction. They tend to overshadow you. So those are some of the challenges, but joint venturing is good because it is a gateway into the big business. Yes. That's it.
Okay, thank you so much, Prof, for ably responding to all the concerns that are raised here. And I think we are past the hour. It's exactly 8, I believe, and I think we are going to leave it at that since I really don't see. All right, okay, let me give a chance to William again. William, you have the permission to unmute and maybe say something as we close it up from you. Thank you. Yes, William? William, we can't hear you. Yes, William?
Yes, good morning, please.
Good morning to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. This is William Kanyesije, and I appreciate Prof for his rich and good presentation. My question is now about address. Well, given that with the post-COVID trend, I realize that people have learned to work from remote places, from anywhere, and be able to have productivity. So, but you realize that for small companies, when they're trying to join business, they do as much as possible to limit expenses, and one of the draining expenses is rent, having offices and space. How is it allowed for a company to operate, how will I call it, for lack of a better word, a briefcase company, where you think you can still sit in your garage, sit in your house, and be able to work? So in that case, how can a company still survive, and what reputation will it have before partners, before clients, anyway? So I need some advice on that, where companies where a firm does not have a physical address like an office, but still is able to work. If I have the capacity to have an output without an office location, is that okay? Is that allowed? And how does the client perceive it, or how does the business fraternity perceive that? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, William. Your question will be responded to. Maybe, Waswa Paul, maybe before you come in, I want to take note that I've seen your question. If it's about the weekend programs in entrepreneurship, I think our dear host will be able to respond to that. But if it's different from that, then probably you have the permission to ask. You can unmute and ask your question if it's not in line with that.
Okay, I wanted to respond to William. I know William as a personal friend. I've met him. Officeless businesses are on the increase these days, and sometimes you find people sharing offices. So the first address is the box number as a requirement by law. You need to have a box number. Then you need a website if you are in consultants and what. The offices that are in supplies and works, those ones you must have a physical location. But for professional services, I don't see it. If you have elsewhere that you sit and you can work from and do all those multitasking, even the better. So depends on what you are offering. If it is works and supplies, you need an office because they sometimes need to come and supervise you. If you are in professional services and consultancy, if you have a bank account, you have a TIN, you pay taxes, you have a website where they can look at your previous works, they have your referees. You may not necessarily have a particular office because sometimes it is costly if you have elsewhere you're working. Personally, I don't have a specific office for the company because I usually work with my partner's premises. So you have to be smart because those are efficiency drivers. Yes, it's very critical. And there is someone on call here from Nairobi. They run a business of Pure Sound Uganda. They are now working with, for example, IHK, which gives them an advantage of an office. So you need to learn how to be efficient to avoid some of the costs without necessarily compromising your reputation. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Prof, for, I think, ably responding to all the questions. So, Dr. Edith, as you come back, there is this concern from Waswa Paul, who is asking if we have weekend programs in entrepreneurship. I think you could be able to respond to that. Thank you, Prof, for responding to all the questions, and back to you, our dear host.
Thank you very much, Caesar, for managing the Q&A. And thank you, Professor Ernest Abaho, for responding to the comments and questions raised, and also for interacting further with our people logged on here. Waswa Paul, the question you are raising, I think the response will be, it depends on at what level you want the program. I could say that we have tailor-made programs which are specifically business clinics, specifically made for a particular organization or particular individual. These are tailor-made, and those can be run over the weekend. And then we have also others run over the weekend at master's level, the modular programs. But specifically at bachelor's level and diploma level, we would not have those for weekend. We've gone to the top of the hour. Sorry, my internet had got a challenge. I would like to invite Dr. Christopher Kusemerera to give his closing remarks. Dr. Kusemerera, please unmute and give closing remarks, and we end this.
Thank you, Dr. Edith, our host. Good morning, our dear listeners. I hope you can hear me. Dr. Edith, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Doctor. We can hear you, Doctor.
Thank you. Thank you once again, our dear host, Dr. Edith Basalirwa, for always taking the initiative to ensure that we have such interactions with people from the different domains in the context of entrepreneurship. At this point also, I want us to really thank Professor Abaho, Ernest, for sharing great insights on how to grow your business through tenders, or what we can call tenderpreneurship. I think this presentation is timely, bearing in mind that most of us listening in, we are entrepreneurs in our different capacities. You are either providing a service or you are dealing in goods. So this means that we can all exploit opportunities by partaking in tenderpreneurship. One of the issues that has been really highlighted from the presentation is the misconception that tenderpreneurship is encompassed with a lot of corruption, but we are learning that it's just a misconception. We as individuals, we need to just take the initiative and understand the requirements that are required by different organizations that are requesting for a service or for someone provide a good or a product. So we as entrepreneurs, we need to change our mindset from that kind of thinking that things are already predetermined, by actually participating in these processes. Even when you don't succeed for the first time, look at it as a learning experience. Look at it as a learning experience, which I think Professor Bao also mentioned. Look at it as a learning experience and keep on trying, and ask yourself, why did I fail the last time I tried? Then also the issue of networking is important because there are a number of opportunities from different sectors. But if you're not well networked, you'll be able to miss out on such opportunities. So I think as listeners, we need to go out and start participating in the tendering processes. You never know, at some point, you may have your first contract, and it will be a stepping stone for future opportunities. Lastly, I want to end by thanking the team at the center for always providing such opportunities, of course, led by the director, Dr. Diana, for making sure that we provide such a platform to ensure that our students, the business people, keep learning and learning and learning for a better Uganda. At this point, I want to hand over to the host. Thank you so much, and I wish everyone a positive day.
Thank you very much, Dr. Christopher Kusemerera, for your wonderful closing remarks. Thank you for encouraging us. Thank you for your encouragement and for expanding further the area that has been discussed. We appreciate you, members. Dr. Kusemerera Christopher is the head of department of Entrepreneurship and Innovation at Makerere University Business School. We'd like to appreciate everybody who logged on this morning. Allow me to again appreciate our presenter, Professor Ernest Abaho. Thank you for finding time in your busy schedule. We'd like to thank everybody, the team at the center led by Dr. Diana Ntamu. Thank you for always providing this to the members. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you. Thank you for always finding time to log on and learn with us. We would like to appreciate you and wish you a blessed Thursday. Bye-bye for now. Remember to log on again next week, Thursday, same time. Bye-bye. Have a blessed Thursday.
You gotta get up. You gotta get up and make a move. 'Cause the world will never see you until you do. No, they don't really care what you're going through. So you gotta show them, baby. You gotta show them the real you. You gotta give them what you've got. No, don't let them see what you're not. 'Cause you are strong. You are wise. You are worth beyond 1,000 reasons why. And you can't be perfect, baby. 'Cause nobody's perfect, darling. But no, 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 there's nobody in the world like you. What do you do when you can't let go? What do you say when you just don't know how you feel? And you know nobody knows how you feel. 'Cause everybody's got their own damn problem. So everybody's trying to find their way. And day by day is a struggle. In this world, you know you have to hustle. Just know that you're not alone. You don't always have to be strong all by yourself. I said it's okay to ask for help. Now listen. People will find you, but they don't define you. And you will find people who help redesign you. People will find you, but they don't define you. And you will find people who help redesign you. You are a work of art. Bet you didn't think you'd come this far. Now here you are. Baby, you are strong. You are wise. You are worth beyond 1,000 reasons why. And you can't be perfect, baby. 'Cause nobody's perfect, darling. But no, 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 there's nobody in the world like you.